So the main concern of the opening opposition is simple. They're afraid of the central bank will fail to accommodate the needs of the specific country and specific state, so that this country will fail, and so on and so forth. We say this assumption is not going to happen. Why? Because if one country fails in a single currency, it's also going to impact all countries that are using that currency. In that particular state, Mr. Speaker, there will be more urge for other countries to fit the specific needs of these countries, and have more urge to assess the problem and create a more specific solution toward this particular problem. We said the concept of opening opposition, we don't think that it's valid to begin with. So I'm going to talk about several things this week. One, I'm going to talk regarding the needs of society, exactly my clarifications. Second, I'm going to talk regarding the harms to developing countries and the unfair conditions. Thirdly, I'm going to talk about how single currency leads to a better economic crisis management. First thing I'm going to talk about is on the issue of needs societies. The claim on how the needs of society is specific in terms of economic development is not something that is only towards a certain specific country. We agree on that, Mr. Speaker. On the central bank, we're not going to actually invite dumb people on the central bank. We're going to invite the professors. We're going to invite the scientists in the economic experts. What does that mean? More people will be able to assess the economic problem inside that particular country, and more people will be able to extend their ideas and explain their ideas in terms of resolving that country. It's not as bad as what the opening opposition thinks. Second, Mr. Speaker, we rather believe that the understanding that there will be a significant damage towards other countries, and there will be a collateral damage towards other countries. We thought there will be more urge for this central bank to help these specific countries to survive in their lives. And what's the difference with the current status quo? In the current status quo, Mr. Speaker, the resolving problem inside economic crisis management and the fulfillment of needs of society is only based on the self-interest of the state. What's the problem of that? Sometimes the states neglect all the possibility of collateral damage to other countries that may also harm to the economy as a whole. For example, when we're talking about quantitative easing that's been in place and also bailout that's been in place by America in 2000 and the mortgage crisis, for example, they only rely on the self-interest and how the society needs a specific needs, and the society needs to be bailed out. They don't see the collateral damage that other countries may feel, that the collateral damage the other particular entity in this world might feel. We see the existence of single currency and the central bank in itself is going to create a minimized harm, which is going to be explained in my extensions. Second issue that I'm going to talk about is regarding the harms to developing countries. They believe that it's not going to harm to developing countries, whether other countries may get benefit from devolution of yuan, so on and so forth. There will be fairness, ups and downs, because they believe the starting point is indeed different. We agree on the starting point of indeed different. But what we want to as an opening government, that those starting points are not being affected by the control of the government and devaluing also controlling the currency. We want all the starting point and the market mechanism to exist in our world based on the demand and also supply from the society towards specific needs and also specific currency in the world, Mr. Speaker. On their side of the house, the demand and supply are not going to be that detrimental in determining the value of currency. Why? Because the government have a control and ultimate alternative to control whether or not they want to devalue, whether they want to increase, and also weakening their position inside the international society. It's not based on the other countries, and it's not based on the market mechanisms. It's only benefited for those countries who have a right and also have authority to do so. We also believe, Mr. Speaker, we also believe that the right and also the authority to do that particular thing. You are weakening your position, or you are trying to strengthen the positions, is not equal to all countries that involved in the trade itself. We already told you in my first speaker how the chance to devaluate such as China, what is China doing right now, is not this capability and not the capacity that Indonesia have as a country. Why? Because devaluating as Indonesia, devaluating their currency means you're going to have more expensive imports when we're still relying on imports. It's different from China. When China is not relying on imports, they have the authority and they have the control to not bear the consequences of weakening currency, Mr. Speaker. We say it's unfair for us to ensure that the government has control and government has authority towards other countries where other countries cannot do things. We also agree on the issue of comparative advantage, but the comparative advantage that we're going to have in current status quo is only based on the resources, for example, or on based on the capacity of country. What does that mean? The country are not going to be forced to succumb to the demand of the more developed countries. For example, when we're actually having trading with Japan, for example, in terms of automotive, when Japan also relies so much, and Japan do protectionism toward the automotive industry, we also have chances to do protectionism to our agricultural and also force Japan to actually not get any agricultural production outside the house. In terms of currency, it's not going to happen, and it can be happen. Why? Because there's a specific demand from our society, for example, towards certain currencies such as dollar that we cannot have a bargaining position to push United States government to actually weakening the dollars, for example, because we have no comparative advantage in terms of currency. We only have a comparative advantage in terms of resources, and also that we have all of those things that we have right now. It's important for us to ensure that the bargaining position in terms of trade system and in terms of organizations as WTO are going to be fair for all countries in the world. We say it's better off with single currencies. My extensions, how single currency leads to better economic crisis management. In the status quo right now, the crisis management in terms of economic crisis is variably different in some countries, right? We agree to the extent of specific situation and specific problem solving in specific countries. And presumably, there is a significant harms to other actors and being neglected by this particular country simply because they actually want to achieve their self-interest and actually creating more economic betterment towards their own country. For example, we're talking about quantitative easing in American and bailout to some companies such as IG, for example.
Question?
Back in 2008. No, thank you. It might be good for American economy. It might be good for American companies, but it creates a significant and also collateral damage from other companies from other countries that cannot compete because they don't have bailout and they don't receive bailout in the first place. We say that this creates a significant harms toward the market mechanism and also market competitions when we're talking about specific in terms of economic crisis. Because once you solve your economic crisis in your country, there might be other countries that get an economic crisis and also receive harms from your policy. What's better than outside the house, Mr. Speaker? Because when you're talking about the central bank, there will be all countries to be involved in the decision-making process. There will be all countries that is going to be involved in the solutions process, and also there will be that compromisation towards that. It's going to minimize the harms because they understand once there is certain policy that is being implemented, there will be significant harm toward my country, for example. Then I'm going to lobby to actually lessen the harm and lessen the possibility of harm towards our country. What does that mean? It's going to create a more stable economic condition that all of the economic crisis solvencies is not going to harm other particular country that is not directly involved in that particular economic crisis. We said it is better off when we're having a single currency, there will be more assessment, there will be more experts that can explain their ideas and also solve the problem of economic crisis. We are very proud to propose these motions.